So a consistent theme on this show with regard to how Fox News covers Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is that as they grasp and become more desperate to attack her for any and everything, they're getting dumber. The attacks are getting more stupid, and they're continuously lowering the bar. And after watching a segment on Laura Ingraham's show, we have to lower the bar once more, because the stupidity here is just, it's so outrageous that she's actually now comparing progressives in Congress to apocalyptic to apocalyptic figures in the Bible. Not even joking about that.
Congresswoman-elect Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, Ayanna Pressley, and Ocasio-Cortez tweeted out this picture of themselves at a progressive caucus orientation the other day. Check it out. They captioned the picture, "Squad," and another photo with the hashtag, "Change Can't Wait." Nancy Pelosi might have tagged this one, "Mob Squad, help." Well, these women may as well be the four horsewomen of the apocalypse for the Democratic Party, if you ask me, because they represent some of the most radical views in Congress. Free college for all, free health care for all, the abolishment of ICE, a Green New Deal where the U.S. depends entirely on renewable energy. Have fun in those planes.
I mean, what do you even say to that? This is someone who we're supposed to take seriously. This is supposedly a serious news person who is an objective reporter. But let's get to that quote. What a gem. These women may as well be the four horsewomen of the apocalypse for the Democratic Party, if you ask me, because they represent some of the most radical views in Congress. So, obviously, she's not necessarily saying that these women are so evil that they will bring about the apocalypse, but in a biblical sense. But she's saying that they will result in the destruction of the Democratic Party. No, actually, they're going to save the Democratic Party. And see, the problem with propaganda, Laura, is that if you want it to be believable, if you want people to take you seriously, you've got to at least make an effort to appear somewhat reasonable and not be so ridiculous. But I don't think comparing these women to the four horsewomen of the apocalypse is going to legitimize your show. I mean, if you're going to fearmonger, you've got to at least try to keep it within the realm of possibility. But Fox News is desperate. Now, she called them radicals, as they usually do on Fox News, and I typically tend to push back against that view, but I guess that they are radical in the sense that they're doing something completely new in Washington, D.C. They're actually trying to listen to their constituents and represent the American people. That is actually radical, because we don't really live in a democracy anymore. We effectively live in an oligarchy. And you don't have to take my word for it. I'll cite the political science study from Princeton that was published in 2014 that I always cite. It's from Drs. Gillens and Page, and they found that American democracy has diminished to the point that we have a statistically insignificant impact on policy outcomes. So by them coming to Congress and actually trying to listen to the people and adopting policy ideas that are actually overwhelmingly popular, that is kind of a radical thing. But they're not radical in the sense that they're politically and ideologically radical, because that's absurd. Now, she referred to free college, free healthcare, abolishing ICE, and a Green New Deal as wacky new ideas. But when it comes to policy ideas like free college and Medicare for all, these are overwhelmingly popular. Laura, I don't think she realizes that Medicare for all is now polling with a 51% majority in her own party. So her own party doesn't think that this is a, quote, wacky new idea. And it's not really a new idea. Think about this. ICE itself is what's a new idea. We may not have the public support when it comes to abolishing ICE yet, but we've only started to make our case. And ICE itself is a new idea that I would characterize as wacky. ICE was created in 2003 by George W. Bush. We already have other agencies that took on the responsibility that ICE is now taking on. So They're just unnecessary, and they're essentially the American Gestapo, so we don't need them. And when it comes to a Green New Deal, well, most Americans think that climate change is real and is a threat and that we need to act. So I don't know, like, we haven't polled Americans specifically on the Green New Deal, but if we did poll them, I would imagine that it'd poll pretty well. Because what does a Green New Deal entail? It entails jobs, investment in green, renewable technology. If Americans want jobs and said Green New Deal would create jobs, then I would likely deduce that they would be in favor of that. Now, the thing about Laura Ingraham that makes it, I think, the most insufferable to me is that she tries to be quirky. She tries to be like that cool soccer mom who's witty, who's hip to what the kids are talking about, who's down with the lingo, She uses words like epic and owned, and she thinks she's funny and clever and cool, but the fact remains that Fox News' audience is overwhelmingly elderly. So even if they might think that you're clever, Laura, everyone else thinks that you're an idiot. You're not quirky. You're a racist, rich white woman who gets paid millions of dollars to espouse white supremacist propaganda and fearmonger about immigrants. You must be so proud. Imagine the legacy that you're leaving behind. Think about how history is going to judge you.
Support this podcast by becoming a patron at patreon.com/Humanist Report.